Good morning, my dear students, and welcome back to the English online classes. As you people can see that we people have been running across various videos related to the chapter enemy. Here I'm scrolling the screen and you can see the various pages that we have gone through in the previous videos, the videos in which we people came across who Dr. Sadao is, who Hannah is, whom they happen to meet, the prisoner of war, and then how they have brought him home after passing through a lot of perplexed moments, and then after that they happened to get him operated because Dr. Sada was an expert surgeon, so he decided to operate him and save the man. And the reaction of the servants who were there in the house, who never approved from the first moment itself, Dr. Sadao's bringing that prisoner of war home, and then after that, not paying heed to them because he believed that his duty as a doctor is to save any life which he come across in need of his help and in need of his skill. And then he had done the operation, though the servants opposed him. With the help of Hannah, he did it, and then it was successful. He took out the bullet from his body and he bandaged him. The young man came into his senses. His name is being mentioned as Tom over here through him, and then he happens to be frightened with the fact that he was in a Japanese house and he knew it very well that the war was going on between America and Japan, and right now the two enemies were in front of each other. Hannah and Dr. Sadao, they had been little aloof. They were not that very friendly in manners of talks, though they have helped him, though they have saved him. And later on, as the time passed, this incident took place. They had come across him on the 21st day of February, and after 7 days have passed, operation and all done, and he was gaining strength. On the seventh day, many things happened, especially two things happened, I can say. The first thing was the servants, they left the work, and Hannah, very, you can say that strongly and boldly, she did it. She faced everything, and she had been looking after the household work which she was not used to. And also a lot of confusion was there in her mind that why Hannah and Dr. Sadao were not able to see the things clearly, and even the servants also, they left the job and went, thinking that it's not good to betray the country. And then the second thing that happened was, while she was working, she saw a messenger in the official uniform standing on the doorstep, and she got frightened, thinking that maybe the servants, after going from here, someone has disclosed about the presence of the POW in their house, and now he might have come to arrest her husband, Dr. Sadao. She ran inside, breathing heavily, and then the messenger, instead of talking about the prisoner of war, he said that the general is in need of Dr. Sadao. He's not feeling good, and in a way, both husband and wife, they relaxed. But Dr. Sadao was really tensed when he saw the condition of his wife, and he decided within himself that he has to do something about this, because his wife cannot continue in this manner, and whatever he has to do, he has to do at the earliest about this man. So now let's move on to the part where he's going to disclose about all these things to the general. Okay, so I'll just scroll a little bit and then we will reach to that part from where we are going to start about his talk with the general. Okay, so this was what we have done in the last video, that is Sadao goes to see the general. Of course, the general said weakly, I understand fully, but that is because I once took a degree in Princeton, so few Japanese have. I care nothing for the man, Excellency, Sadao said, but having operated on him with such success. Yes, yes, the general said, it only makes me feel you more indispensable to me. Evidently, you can save anyone. You're so skilled. You say you think I can stand one more such attack as I have had today? Not more than one, Sadao said. Then certainly I can allow nothing to happen to you, the general said with anxiety. His long, pale Japanese face became expressionless, which meant that he was in deep thought. You cannot be arrested, the general said, closing his eyes. Suppose you were condemned to death, and the next day I had to have my operation. Okay, this was really so strange. He was a general of the army, and he is considered to be patriotic and more dutiful in his way according to the post. But you see the conversation between the two. When Sadao disclosed, or when he said to the general about the presence of the prisoner of war in his house, the general, he said in a very weak voice that, oh yeah, I understand it, because I too have taken a degree from Princeton, means from outside America, and because of that reason I understand that how you feel. And he said that many of the Japanese have done the same thing. At that time, Sadao gave a, you can say that he gave a kind of an explanation that he feels nothing for him. He said, Excellency, I feel nothing for him. He's just a patient for me. But the fact is that I have operated on him successfully. Means he was found in a dying state, and Sadao brought him back to life. At that time, General, he said that, yeah, that's what the reason is. I feel that you are much more important to me, indispensable. Means I cannot afford to lose you. And he said that you are the only one who can save me. Then he asked Dr. Sadao one question. He said that the attack which I had today, that attack I had, can I stand one more attack? Means if again one more attack come, can I be can I live? Means I'll be able to bear it. Then Sadao said that no, sir, you cannot. If one more comes, you might need a surgery or you might die. That's what the meaning of it. So then the general, he said that then certainly I cannot allow you to get arrested. Now you see, when it came to his life, suddenly he kept patriotism one side, his duty one side, and he said that I cannot let anyone do anything to you. And then to himself he was thinking, I cannot get this man arrested. And he said that if, imagine, because of being a traitor, uh, and because of giving harbor to a prisoner of war, to an enemy, if you are given the death sentence and the next day I have to go for a surgery, what I will do? So here one kind of a selfish attitude or behavior of the general could be seen. He keeps his personal benefits before the country. For him it was more important. Then Dr. Sadao, he said that there are other surgeons, Excellency. Sadao suggested. Yeah, obviously, Sadao said that there are other doctors, other surgeons are there. You don't need me. None I trust, the general replied. The best ones have been trained by Germans and would consider the operation successful even if I died. I do not care for their point of view, he said. It seems a pity that we cannot better combine the German ruthlessness with the American sentimentality. Then you could turn your prisoner over to execution, and yet I could be sure you would not murder me while I was unconscious. The general laughed. He had an unusual sense of humor. As a Japanese, could you not combine these two foreign elements? He asked. When Dr. Sadao, he put the doubt that if your giving harbor to the enemy is disclosed and you are sent to jail, and the next day you are given a death sentence, means you're hanged, and I need an operation, whom do I trust? I trust you the most. And then Dr. Sadao said that there are many other surgeons, Excellency. To that, the general, what he said, I don't trust anyone. Those, then you see the way he said that the best ones, those who are there in Japan, they are trained by Germans. The Germans, they are considered to be very ruthless. They don't have a heart. Means they are having a heart, I mean to say that they are very cruel. And because of that reason, he said that even if the operation will be they will consider the operation to be a successful even if I die on the operation table. Means if the heart operation or any other operation is there, and if the operation is done, but after a second or something the patient dies, then also operation will be considered successful. That much ruthless, he said, that the German trained Japanese doctors will be. So he said that why we cannot have a combination of German's ruthlessness and American sentimentality. Now remember, Dr. Sadao is trained from America, and then he said that um, you can give the prisoner over for execution, but I feel that still I can be at peace, means, or I can be confirmed that you will not murder me under your knife, means when you are operating on me. It was a kind of a joke he cracked, a very unusual type of sense of humor he had. And then he said that as a Japanese, uh, he's talking to Dr. Sada. He said that as a Japanese, can't you have the combination of both German and American? To that, Dr. Sadao smiled. I'm not quite sure, he said, but for your sake, I would be willing to try, Excellency. The general shook his head. I had rather not be the test case, he said. He felt suddenly weak and overwhelmed with the chaos of his life as an official in times such as these when repeated victory brought great responsibility all over the South Pacific. It is very unfortunate that this man should have washed up on your doorstep, he said irritably. I feel it too so myself, Sadao said gently. Now, here in the conversation of Dr. Sadao and the general, you can see that the general wanted Sadao to have a combination of German ruthlessness as well as American sensibility. So he said that, can't you have that combination? So he said that, General, definitely for your sake, I'll be willing to try this. And then General said that, I don't want to be the test case. Means, don't try it upon me. That's what the general wanted to say. And then actually he was very much you can say that he was very much conscious of the fact that he wanted to live with such a lot of responsibilities which came over him, with lots of victories that have been registered in his name. And then he spoke to Dr. Sadao in an irritable tone that why that man has to get washed off and come to your doorstep. Why he has to come to your doorstep? It happens now, like when something beyond our control is going on, then we say that why it has to happen with me. So he said the same thing, Dr. Sadao. Why that man has to come to your doorstep? And why not somewhere else? Then Dr. Sadao said that I too feel the same way. That why he has to get washed off and come to my place. Now, our great general will be coming up with a solution. You just see to the solution. It would be best if he could be quietly killed, the general said. Not by you, but by someone who does not know him. I have my own private assassins. Suppose I send two of them to your house tonight, or better, any night. You need know nothing about it. It's now warm. What would be more natural than that you should leave the outer partition of the white man's room open to the garden while he sleeps? Certainly, it would be very natural, said Sadao agreed. In fact, it is so left open every night. Okay, our this great general, he came up with a solution. He said that I think the best thing is that that man should get killed, that prisoner of war. Not Dr. Sadao. He said that not you. You need not kill him, but by someone whom you also don't know, or he also means by someone who don't know you, whom you don't know, and who don't know that prisoner of war also. Then he said that he is having his own private assassins. Now you might be thinking, who are these assassins? Assassins are the murderers whose work is to murder. And there are people deputed to this work. And then the general said that I'm having some private assassins of my own, and then I will send two of them to your house, either today night, or maybe afterwards, any other night. And you do one thing. You're having the partition, means a sliding door which opens towards the garden. So saying that it is very warm, you keep that partition open, and those people, they will come, and while he's sleeping, they will kill him. So Dr. Sadao, he said that, yes, that sounds good. Let it go that way. It will be very natural also. And moreover, there is no trouble. He keeps the door open every night. Good, the general said, yawning. They are very capable assassins. They make no noise. And though they know the trick of inward bleeding, if you like, I can have I can even have them remove the body. When Dr. Sadao said that the door is maximum time kept open only, he said the general he said that yawning means ubasi yawning. He said that, oh, that's very good, and he said that assassins I'm talking about, they're very capable, they're very efficient, they make no noise at all, and they even know the technique in which the person will bleed inwardly, means internal bleeding will be there, and that man will die. And if you want, if you like, they can even remove the dead body also. लाश को भी ठिकाने लगा देंगे. Yeah, that's the kind of job they do, the assassins. Sadao considered that perhaps would be the best. Excellency, he agreed, thinking of Hannah. Now you might be thinking that he operated on him successfully. He saved his life. Now why he agreed for his killing? The reason was his wife. The reason was the tension that was prevailing in his house. And because of that reason, thinking about Hannah, he agreed to the general, His Excellency's words. He left the general's presence then and went home, thinking over the plan. In this way, the whole thing would be taken out of his hands. He would tell Hannah nothing, since she would be timid at the idea of assassins in the house, and yet certainly such persons were essentials in the absolute state such as Japan was. How else could rulers deal with those who opposed them? Now he left General's palace. Presence means General's palace company, and then he went home. And while he was walking back home, he was thinking over the plan, and he thought that if the assassins come through the general, and if they take the body also and go, that will be the better part, because at least in this way he will be having a clear hand over everything. And then he decided not to tell Hannah anything, because he believed that if she comes to know about the murderers, the assassins coming to their house, she will definitely turn very frightened, timid. And it was then he started thinking about the assassins. See, wherever these kind of people are, general type of people, there these kinds of assassins are very necessary for suppressing the rebels which goes against the state, which goes against the country. The rulers have to press them down, and for pressing them down they are having the private assassins, means their own murderers they are having. He refused to allow anything but reason to be the atmosphere of his mind as he went into the room where the American was in bed. But as he opened the door, to his surprise, he found the young man out of bed and preparing to go into the garden. "What is this?" he exclaimed. "Who gave you permission to leave your room?" "I'm not used to waiting for permission," Tom said gaily. "Gosh, I feel pretty good again. But will the muscles on this side always feel stiff?" "Is it so?" Sadao inquired, surprised. He forgot all the else. "Now I thought I had provided against that," he murmured. He lifted the edge of the man's shirt and gazed at the healing scar. "Massage may do it," he said, "if exercise does not." And then, thinking about all those things, not giving any reasoning to enter into his head, except this reason that his wife was in tension, there was tension in the house, and that young man was in trouble. He entered into the American fellow's room. And as he opened, he was surprised to see that the man was out of the bed and was getting prepared to go to the garden. And he just surprisingly he said that, "How come you got up, and who gave you the permission to go to the garden?" Then the young chap, the Tom, he said very happily that, "I'm not used to taking permissions, and moreover I'm feeling so good, except uh, the muscle over this side of my wound feels little stiff." The moment he said that, "My muscle this side of the wound feels little stiff," Sadaf forgot everything, and the doctor entered inside. And he said that, "Is it so?" And then he spoke to himself. He said that, "I thought that I might have provided against all those things, the stiffness and all." Then he lifted his shirt, he looked at the wound, the muscles drying up over there, and he said that, "No worries, massage will help you to get rid of it, or if the exercise don't." "It won't bother me much," the young man said. His young face was gaunt under the stubbly blond beard. "Say, doctor, I have got something I want to say to you." If I hadn't met a chap like you, well, I wouldn't be alive today. I know that. Sadao bowed, but he could not speak. Sure, I know that, Tom went on warmly. This big, thin hands gripping a chair were white at the knuckles. I guess if all the Japs were like you, there wouldn't have been a war. Perhaps, Sadao said with difficulty, and now I think you had better go back to sleep. He helped the boy back into bed and then bowed. Good night, he said. Now, when he said that if exercise don't work out, the medicines will, the young man, he said that, oh, I don't bother about it that much. And then his blonde beard, his yellowish beard could be seen, and his face was gaunt under that stubbly blonde beard. And he said to Dr. Sadao that, doctor, I want to say something to you. He said that if I haven't met a Japanese like you, I wouldn't be alive today. And I know this thing very well. And Sadao, he didn't speak anything, but he just bowed. It's so difficult, na? He saved a man's life, and then he went there and he spoke about how to kill him. He had been told by the general that this man will be killed. And then Tom tried to get up, and while he was trying to get up, he caught hold of the side of the chair, and his knuckles, I mean his fingers, knuckles, they turned whitish in color in that effort, the strength that he had put. And he said that if all the Japanese would have been like this, there would have no war. There would have been no war. To that, Dr. Sadao said that perhaps. And then he said to him that now it's time for you to say good night and go back to the bed. And he helped the boy to get into the bed, and he bowed and he said good night to him. And here I would like to give a stop to the video, and in the next video we will come across whether the assassins came or not, and whether Dr. Sadao could get rid of that prisoner of war, or what was the mental state of Dr. Sadao. This is what we people will be doing in the next video. So till then, goodbye and be safe.